very April-y today. It is April, it's mid-April, and even though that sun is shining, I am literally dodging in and out of the Polytunnel with my raincoat on because it keeps bucketing down. But never mind, because what I want to show you today, it's a bit of a, I would say, a balanced video, and that's because it's at the time of the year when some of our seed sowing starts to pay off and we start to see signs of life, and that is just brilliant. We're just, it's all worth coming together, and this is that stage where we can think yes, and we can be really, really positive and really optimistic, and then within, I'm going to say a few weeks, I'm putting that out there, things start to go, things start to disappear, and we start to notice that we are not the only ones who are interested in eating our hard worked for crops. There's a whole load of garden pests are interested as well, and who can blame them? Who can blame them? You know, they're just doing their bit. They're just trying to survive like the rest of us. But sadly, what that means, and I suppose this is a little bit of a theme for today, without trying to sound too morbid, is along with every sign of life, we also have to think of death. So today I'm going to show you how I'm going to tackle that to an extent. But first of all, let's go and see what's going on in that poly, because it's changed quite a bit since last week. I'm going to just say, before I start waffling on again, thank you so much to those of you who watched last week's video and made the suggestion that I cover the OBF board in like plastic tablecloth. I have got one, I found one, I knew I'd have one somewhere at home. It's nice and light and jazzy, it's going to be fantastic in here, but guess where it is? On the kitchen table, ready to come up, so it will get covered. As it is, these are in gravel trays so far, most of them, so there's not much water going through, but that is something that will get done. And also, can I say a huge thank you to those of you who've subbed to the channel over the last week. You know, it doesn't very often happen to me, but there was a real burst in new subs, and I'd just like to say, new and old, thank you so much for subbing, because it means, you know, you feel like you're actually doing something for a reason, and it tells YouTube that people are interested in the videos, and that encourages me to make more, so big thank you there. But yes, last week I was showing you, I've got them here, I was just showing you pots of soil, like that one. They were the Gigantes beans I sowed last week, so they won't come up yet. They usually take a couple of weeks for me, but everything else is really taken off. I mean, it is warm in here, it's really warm, but let me show you. We have had absolute lift off with the brassicas. I've got my Farmer Gracie plants that I potted up a few weeks ago. They have come up, and I've even got a small tuber that fell off one of the dahlia tubers that I potted up in the hope it might come, and it has. That's really good. What have I got here? My peas are starting to come up. Sweet peas, well on their way. Apart from that one, lost a few there, but still got enough. And even, and I'm so thrilled with these, because this is it, like with the Gigantes, you think, oh, they're not going to come. There was no sign of these a couple of days ago when I was last up. This is the violet podded climbing French bean, and that is coming. Look at that. Oh, I mean, they're just brilliant to watch develop. Once that starts coming, this will be full. I reckon this time next week all of these will have germinated. Oh my goodness, Jane, what are you saying? And would you look at that, courgettes, pumpkins, still nothing from the Yuchuki Kiri save seed that I had, but yeah, they're starting to come up, and again, like the beans, they've got those huge leaves, so they really make an impact when they start to grow. I've even got a cucumber, punakira, I think that's how you say it, which I've never heard of, but I was sent the seed by Danny, so we're giving that one a go, and that's looking really healthy. And the most exciting thing of all for me, because I absolutely love it, is the sight of this asparagus coming up. I always say it looks very, very unattractive, dare I say sometimes quite rude, but just to know you'll know if you've grown asparagus. You might be putting off growing it because you think, oh, it takes too long to actually come to fruition. It's so worth it. You know, if you're even thinking about it at the moment and you're going to be in a place for more than a couple of years, I would recommend that you plant some. But I am not the only one that is interested. Rocky's not interested, as you can see. I'm not the only one who's interested in eating the asparagus, because last year, for the first time, I mean, we've had this in for 4 years now, and so we've been cropping it. In the second year, we cropped a few. And then last year we cropped even more. But I spotted an absolutely beautiful red beetle. I mean, it was gorgeous. If I can find a picture of it, I will put it up. But really lovely, really stood out against the asparagus. But what it was doing was actually eating them. So yeah, it was an asparagus beetle. I don't know if it's known by any other name, but I just called it an asparagus beetle for obvious reasons. And so this year, what I want to do is make sure that I will not have the same issue again. And the way to do that is to use something that I've never used before. And they are nematodes. Now, if you're familiar with the channel, you will know I'm a complete softie. I can't put beer traps out for slugs. You know, I mean, much as it might be nice to die in a beer bath, I just don't like it. I can give them to the chickens because then I can justify it to myself and think it's part of the circle of life, and they're actually making something of them. But yeah, even if I go to spray green fly or any sort of aphid with some soapy water, or just even a jet from a hose, there's a lot of apologies as I'm going. And don't talk to me about worms. If there's a worm on the ground, I have to pick it up and make sure that it's safely hidden from robins or, you know, just being stood on. So the idea of nematodes, which from what I can gather are basically tiny, tiny creatures that latch on to the grubs themselves and eat them from the inside out. Honestly, it doesn't sound good, does it? But I think I'm getting a bit tougher. I think gardening is making me, it's toughening me up. So in the mighty thing of live and let live, what I'm going to do today is apply this nematode solution. Now, I've never done it before. This has been sent to me by a company called Andermatt UK. Thank you so much to them. And I'm just going to have an experiment. And as I was weeding the asparagus bed a couple of weeks ago, I did notice a couple of grubs. And yeah, so I know that there are things in there. I'm assuming they're for the asparagus beetle. So what I'm going to do is pop this on. Obviously, the time to get them is when the grubs are small, before they've developed into the beetle themselves, which is now. So I'm going to try and mix this up and show you how I apply it, and then we'll see if we can win the asparagus battle this year. Okay, I've got 1.5 litres of water in this bucket. And yes, you might think, Jane, that bucket is way too big, but the idea is that I can fold it like that to make like a little funnel. I can't do it with one hand, to actually go into the watering can. So here we go. Here are the little nematode thingamajigs. They have been kept in a cold place since I was sent them. I think the idea is, oh no, I do feel a bit funny about this, and yes, I should probably have gloves on. What am I like, eh? But yeah. Right, let's put that somewhere it's not going to blow away. There we go, and let's try and find a stick. There we are. And I'm just going to show you there's a stick in there. I'll show you there, can you see that? Can you see that? Basically like a funny mix. Okay, give that a good stir around. Sorry, Rocky. Someone's just landed on Rocky. Oh, Rocky. Be careful. Right, what you want to do is stir it as much as you can, because we are going to apply them through a watering can with a rose on. And I've only got one sort of rose for my watering can. It suggests that you have a coarse rose. Oh dear, oh look. But I've only got the one sort. So, right, I'm going to pour hopefully demonstrate my pouring skills into the watering can without anything blowing over. About a third of that, so it's about half a litre. Oh look, the stick's gone in as well. Okay, leave that to soak for a bit more. Then top that up with a bit more water. There we are. Okay, that's about half full now. And then, I'll show you, that's my rose. It's the only one I've got, so it's going to have to do. If it gets clogged, I'm just going to have to take it off and give it a shake. And take this over and sort out those grubs. Well, that was relatively easy. I might do that again somewhere else, but time will tell. If I do start to see the red beetle again, it may well be a lily beetle, you know. But yeah, do remember, just as things are springing into life, we've already got to think about protecting them in the future. With me, I try and do it as organically as I possibly can. So let me know what sort of what options you have. What do you use for anything in your garden? Because it would be a really good sort of database for other people to read if you can put your top tips and suggestions in the comments below. So while I'm standing here, look, we're looking at what might be dead, but also let's just appreciate the life we've got coming up around us. And I'll see you again soon.